Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to another video on my channel, HAIRLICIOUSLY. If you guys are new to the channel, please make sure to subscribe so that you guys are updated on hair loss and hair transplant topics, as well as updates on current hair loss treatments in the pipeline. Make sure to visit my website at HAIRLICIOUSLY.com for all of your hair loss treatment needs, as well as one-on-one consultations with me regarding anything related to hair loss or hair transplants. So in today's video, I wanted to discuss and share with you the importance of hair loss medication prior to and after getting a hair transplant. Believe it or not, there are people out there who simply refuse to take hair loss medication, obviously for various reasons, but it is extremely crucial that you resort to at least a 5-AR inhibitor like Finasteride or Dutasteride at the very minimum to maintain and stabilize before and after you get a hair transplant. But before I dive into this topic, I wanted to inform you guys that Dr. Acar from Cosmedica will be visiting Los Angeles on August 11th. He is going to be holding a hair transplant consultation at Beverly Hills Marriott Hotel. Conference is complimentary, but it is going to be limited to about 40 people. So if you guys are interested, make sure to fill out the form. I'm going to have all of the information in the description box below. And we also plan on giving out 3 free hair transplants at Cosmedica. So if you do the math, 3 lucky winners out of the potential 40 candidates at the conference is going to put you at a 7.5% chance of winning a free hair transplant. And that is a pretty good probability. So make sure to mark your calendars, swing by for a free consultation, and also to do a meet and greet with me and Dr. Acar. And I really hope to see a lot of you guys there. So going back to the topic in today's video, there was this guy on Trestlist by the username of Nagi Maskin, and he shared with us what had happened to him when he had a hair transplant 6 years prior and he failed to get on hair loss medication after his procedure. So this is a photo of him in 2016, right before a hair transplant. He was around 27 years at the time. And we can see what looks to be a Nord 3 type of hair loss with, deep temporal recessions on both sides. There's also temporal point recession on both sides. And in his post, he stated that he had a hair transplant in 2016 without much research. Did initially start Finasteride, but never kept it up due to worry of sides. So, basically he was probably reading some stuff online, from different hair loss forums, from fearmongers about Finasteride side effects. And by the sound of it, he didn't seem to have any sides when he initially took it, but decided to stop shortly after reading about, some of these exaggerated horror stories about Finasteride and Dutasteride. Now, I'm not going to be talking about potential side effects and the statistics about Finasteride because, we can talk about this all day. But what I will say is that Finasteride is FDA approved for treating hair loss since 1997, which means that it's been readily available for well over 2 decades. And there's been a lot of good research and literature that you guys can easily find online that show that Finasteride side effects and even Dutasteride are minimal and that most people taking it are not going to experience any adverse side effects from the medication, or that they would be able to reverse any potential side effects after cessation of the medication. So this is him 6 months after a hair transplant, and we can see the established hairline. Density has definitely improved, and at 6 months in, he still has a few months for the hairs to really fill in. It would have been nice to see some close-up photos around the 1-year postmark, but he did share with us a recent photo that was taken in 2023, nearly 6 years after his initial hair transplant without being on any type of hair loss medication for the whole time. And we can clearly see, just how much ground that he's lost compared to his 6-month post-hair transplant photo. He's definitely lost native hairs behind all the transplanted areas in the back here and the mid-scalp, and even the hairline, and the areas in the temple region that were once implanted with hair. I think that this is a good example of a combination of a bad hair transplant with not taking any hair loss medication, because typically the grafts, if they are properly extracted and implanted from the donor area, they should not be afflicted with miniaturization, or at least not to this level. But looking at his photos, I feel like there is a good possibility that the grafts were indeed extracted from the donor area that would have been still prone to miniaturization. It's also possible that the density wasn't sufficient, and just combine that with not taking hair loss medication for the past 6 years to stabilize for the hair loss. You've basically wasted thousands of dollars, thousands of grafts, and lost more ground from where you initially started off from. Now, had he been on finasteride from the get-go, I'm sure he would have been at least able to maintain the hairs that he had shortly after his hair transplant. But because of his stupidity and from fearmongers, he's literally a diffuse stainer with hair loss that has progressed into his mid-scalp and crown area, and he would have to now resort to a much stronger hair loss medication regimen on top of additional hair transplants to get coverage. If I were in his shoes, I'd recommend at least getting on finasteride or dutasteride, a growth stimulant like oral or topical minoxidil, an anti-androgen, and hopefully he's going to be able to minimize and potentially stabilize from further progression of hair loss. And based on his update that he provided in his post, it looks like he started taking 1.25 milligram finasteride and topical minoxidil twice a day. And this is a 5-week update with not much of a noticeable difference. So hopefully he's going to keep us posted in a few months' time. But, like I said, this serves as a great example on why most people need to get on hair loss medication, whether or not you plan on getting a hair transplant. 99% of hair loss seen in men are going to have a genetic component. So if you're not incorporating a 5-iron inhibitor or anti-androgens as a primary source of hair loss treatment, you are not going to end up treating the root cause of hair loss, which is due to the endogenous androgens in your system, your testosterone and DHT in particular, as well as your sensitivity to the androgen receptor. So I really hope that this guy is able to continue his treatment and hopefully recover from the damage. And it'd be nice if he makes a pretty incredible comeback. In my case, it's been about 7 years. I believe my first hair transplant was in 2016, and then I had another one in 2019. So it's been 6 years since my initial hair transplant and about 4 years since my second hair transplant. I've been on oral finasteride initially, which I switched over to topical dutasteride and pyrilutamide, followed that with topical minoxidil and microneedling. And you guys can see that the grafts are still very intact. I've had very minimal hair loss thanks to the hair loss treatment regimen that I've been on. And I've been very thankful that the medication has been working. So, it's been a pretty good journey for me, at least for the past 6-7 years. I haven't lost any ground. And, most people who are on hair loss medications like 5-iron inhibitors, minoxidil, growth stimulants, anti-androgens after the hair transplant is going to be able to stabilize further progression of hair loss for the most part. But that wraps up this video, guys. If you like the content, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I will be doing some updates on some of the more promising hair loss treatment companies in the pipelines in my next video, so stay tuned for that. Also, make sure to visit the link in the description box below if you are able to attend the conference on August 11th to meet Dr. Jar in LA. And until then, take care, guys. I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Peace.